Welcome to the October edition of What's in Bloom at the Ruth Bancroft Garden. Each month, we put together a selection of plants that are in bloom in that particular month, and we make a sheet that we hand out to our visitors. And so here we're going to go over some of the selections from the October What's in Bloom. Usually we do this in advance of the month, but we had scheduling problems this month, and here it is coming up on the middle of the month already, but better late than never. October What's in Bloom at the Ruth Bancroft Garden. Aloe is a big genus with hundreds of species, and many of them are native to Africa. However, they do extend eastward into the Indian Ocean, especially in Madagascar, and northward into the Arabian Peninsula. And this one here is Aloe vacillans, one of the Arabian species. It occurs both in Saudi Arabia and to the south of there in Yemen. And this particular plant here is from Tanuma in Saudi Arabia. The species can be either red or orange or yellow flowered. This is a red-orange one here. We also have a yellowed one, a yellow flowered one as well from Yemen, and so we'll have a look at that one too. This is a yellow form of Aloe vacillans, and it comes from central Yemen. And as you can see, it's a larger plant with a much taller inflorescence than the red form we showed earlier. So because this species occurs over a wide area and has lots of different forms, it was named more than once. But after a while, it was realized that these are all just differing forms of one widespread species. And this is a fine example of a tall yellow-flowered one, Aloe vacillans. The bromeliad family is a large family native to the Americas. They occur both in North America, especially in Mexico, and in South America, but they're at their most diverse in South America, and presumably that's where the family originated. So in terms of a crop, there is one very famous member of the family, the pineapple. But there are lots of others that are prominent in horticulture, including the Puyas. And this one here is Puya ferruginea. This particular plant comes from Peru, but it also occurs in Bolivia and Ecuador in the Andes. And Puyas have an amazing range of flower colors, and this one is quite green. When we first got it, we just had it as Puya species from Peru, and we didn't know what species it was. And I initially did not think it was Puya ferruginea because the flowers look so different from another example I'd seen. But it turns out it's just a variable species, and this one has shorter and greener flowers than the other one I'd seen. But the ferruginea refers to the cinnamon-colored fuzzy sepals that clasp the base of the flower, and those are a distinctive feature of the plant no matter what color the flower is. This one has a rather narrow, short green tube that stays, the petals don't spread out, they stay together, and it's adapted to pollination by hummingbirds. Puya ferruginea. Dyckia is a genus in the bromeliad family, Bromeliaceae, and they all come from South America, from southern Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, and this is one of the Argentine ones here, Dyckia niederleinii. So this is the only plant we have of this species. Ruth got it many years ago, and it's very difficult to look up anything about Dyckias because there's no book on them, but they always have yellow to orange flowers, and we see here with the orangey yellow flowers on this one, and they range from quite tiny on the little side to large clumps like this one on the big side. This one has an interesting color pattern. It's got a lot of purple in the leaves, but also some yellow too, a very interesting yellow and purple combination, and then these tall spires of yellow-orange flowers, very attractive. So Dyckias generally do bloom in the spring, summer, and fall, but not in the winter. And so this one's putting on a nice show here in October, but by December, it will be all done for the year. Dyckia niederleinii. The cactus family is a large family, all native to the Americas. They occur both in North America and in South America. And most of the genera in the family are either North American or South American, but this one is an exception, the prickly pears, Opuntia. They occur both in North America and in South America, and in fact, they have the biggest range of any genus in the whole cactus family, extending from Canada in the north all the way to southern Argentina in the south. This is one of the Mexican species, Opuntia leucotricha. Now, some Opuntias are just little ground-hugging things, and some get a trunk and get to be tree-like this one. And in the northern end of Opuntia's range, like in the northern United States and in Canada, they're all short. But when you get down to Mexico, you get some pretty big ones. And this one, leucotricha, means white hair. And that is because the spines on the pads persist. And after the pads harden and turn woody, then those old spines remain on the trunk and look like little wispy white hairs. And so that's the source of the name. It's an attractive plant from the standpoint of its architecture, its expression, and also it has beautiful flowers in the springtime and beautiful fruits in the fall. So right now we're in the fall and we have these yellow fruits. This species does have other colors, but this one has yellow flowers and yellow fruits. They are edible, like a lot of Opuntias. The fruits are called tuna in Mexico, or prickly pears in the United States. And this one is never sold commercially because the fruits are quite small, and it's a lot of work to get all the spines off to get at them, and then you just have a little morsel to eat, but they're tasty nonetheless. Opuntia leucotricha. The family Vitaceae takes its name from Vitis, which is the genus of the grape. And a lot of members of the family, like the grape, are vines. But here's one with a very different idea of how to grow, and this is Cyphostemma juttae. So Cyphostemmas are indeed in the grape family, but they have a big, fat caudex, or a stem base. You can see here under these large leaves. These leaves are deciduous, so they're big, thick, fleshy leaves that last all summer long, but then they drop in the wintertime, and so that fat base is on full display during the winter months when the plant's resting. The fruits do look grape-like, and that's fine as far as their visual effect, but they are not edible. They actually are somewhat toxic, so you don't want to take a sample of these. But they are a nice effect on the plant. The red color of their ripe fruits contrasts with the blue-green of the leaves. And in the wintertime, when neither the fruits nor the flowers nor the leaves are present, then it's the fat base that's on full display. These can get pretty big in habitat. I mean, really chunky things. They're a little bit cold sensitive, so we grow it here where it's covered in the wintertime, but a fantastic plant, and it comes from Namibia. Cyphostemma juttae. That brings us to the close of our October edition of What's in Bloom at the Ruth Bancroft Garden. But I always like to point out that there's only room for about 21 plants on our What's in Bloom sheet, but there's a lot else in the garden. And so it's wonderful to be able to come here and see it for yourself. And you see things like this Astrophytum ornatum. It never makes it onto What's in Bloom because the flowers never last for a whole month, but spectacular when it is in bloom. This is the largest of the Astrophytums and comes from east central Mexico. And these beautiful yellow flowers, they actually do turn pink as they fade, but they start out yellow. And if you are not near enough to come and visit the garden, then by all means, check out our website. We've got lots of interesting things posted on the website. We've got plant highlights from months going back for years. And we've got classes and other events that occur here at the garden, ruthbancroftgarden.org.